From Wondery, this is Safe for Work, Job Stress, Life Relief. I'm Liz Dolan.
And I'm Matt Ritter.
In our first episode of Safe for Work, we were so excited to chat with Rainn Wilson. But some of you might have been left wanting to hear more. So in honor of the launch of our show, we're giving you a very special bonus episode with the uncut interview I did with Rainn, where you'll get a chance to hear him talk about the movie he wants to write and direct. Rainn Wilson, welcome to Safe for Work.
Nice to be here.
Thanks. So what are you working on right now?
Congratulations on the new podcast.
Thank you. Oh, we're already having fun. So more to come later in this discussion.
What am I working on? I'm in Chicago right now. I'm doing a play at the Steppenwolf Theater, which is kind of a dream for me. I went to high school in Chicago, and of course, Steppenwolf being a really famous theater. So I'm getting to work here, and it's really cool and scary.
That's great. Scary. What's so scary about it? Don't you have this down by now? Come on.
It's a huge production, and it's a ton of lines and a lot of work. Theater is hard. TV is so easy. You roll up, and they cook you breakfast, and you have a handful of lines, and you sit around most of the day, and they treat you like a king. And if anyone complains about TV work, then just don't listen to them, because it's the easiest job in the world. But theater is like really hard.
So I read somewhere that you said that failure has played a huge role in your life. Is there more of a risk of failure when you're on stage, like live in front of people? Is that one of the things that makes it harder?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, it's, this play is going to be 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I'm talking for about 2 hours of those 2 hours and 20 minutes. So it's absolutely nuts. And if I forget my lines or make a mistake, or if I'm not very good or very funny, it will be brutal. And I will have to do show after show after show for 2 or 3 months once we open.
Oh, and do you beat yourself up after that? If you do a performance that you think is subpar, do you just ruminate about it all night?
Sure, I do. Yeah, absolutely. But that's my nature.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so it is our first episode. So we're talking a lot about like our worst or best first days of work. Do you have like a worst day of work story you want to share, or best first day?
I have a lot of really bad work stories, but I don't know if any of them happen on a first day of work.
Okay.
But I remember I was thinking back at some I've had a litany of crazy job experiences. So I worked picking raspberries when I was a child, which was basically forced child labor.
Yes. You didn't know that then, though.
Yeah. What's that?
You didn't know that then, right? You were just
I didn't know that then. I thought I was making some summer spending money, but when I look back on it, I was like, wait a minute, this is kind of child slavery.
Okay.
The berry farms in the Seattle area, they got around paying people by allowing you to. They would buy the flat of berries. So if you picked a flat of raspberries, they would pay you $1.25 for it. So you weren't on the payroll. And we all started. We were like 13, 14 years old. And we would just go pick. They would bus us in on a bus, and we would pick these flats of berries, and then they would pay us. By the flat. And it was basically child labor. I was basically like a little Pakistani boy sewing soccer ball.
But did it feel good to you at the time? Like that, was that your first real cash money kind of job?
Yeah, it was my first cash money kind of job. And I had a paper route for a while, but that stopped. Actually, one of the worst days of work was having to collect from my paper route and knock on the door, and then there was an enormous, very hairy, very naked man at the door. And I think I was 12. So that was a pretty bad day of work. But yeah,
is that when you gave up anything that's door to door?
We thought it was pretty fun. It was just it was kind of like summer camp plus money plus lots of hard work baking in the sun. Yeah.
Okay. Well, your life now, you probably have a lot of different kinds of work choices than you had then. So tell me about SoulPancake. So in addition to the live theater that you're doing right now, you have your own company. They do a lot of interesting things. I love that the motto at SoulPancake is, we make stuff that matters. I think that's what everyone wants out of their work. What is it?
Yeah, so it's a digital media company. I started with some friends 8 years ago or so, and we wanted to do something cool and unique and positive on the internet. And we started it as a website, and that didn't really work so much. But we started making video content, and kind of swiftly discovered we were much better at doing that. And so we started making kind of uplifting, human, inspiring videos that challenged us on a human level and dug into life's big questions. And that was the how SoulPancake began. And now we've got, I don't know, 2.5, 3 million YouTube subscribers, and we do work with a lot of different brands and developing television shows and stuff like that. It's been an incredible roller coaster ride and a super fun journey being a part of it.
I really like that a lot of what SoulPancake does is to explore and redefine like big, awesome words like spirituality and God and all of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
obviously super important to you. It's just so nice to see that you can weave all of that into your work life as well as your life. So what have you learned doing that with people?
Well, it was really inspired by my I grew up a member of the Baha'i faith, and part of the Baha'i faith is just exploring big ideas. It's reading different philosophies and different religious beliefs, and studying them and engaging in discussions with people about Buddhism and Hinduism and Sikhism, and we'd always have all these crazy religious people over at our house. And it was also inspired by this great class I took in high school, which was a great books class. So instead of English, normal English class, we just read great books and debated them. And I had an amazing teacher. Actually, it was here in Chicago where I am right now, Ms. Raisa Landor, who was this crazy, eccentric Russian Jewish woman who had read like every book on the planet. She was absolutely brilliant. And she got us debating, Nietzsche and Sartre and the Bible.
Wow.
And I just have always loved, digging into life's big questions. And spirituality is part of life's big questions.
Yeah.
It's also philosophy, and it's part of just the human experience. It's what humans have been talking about for thousands of years, tens of thousands of years.
Yeah, I was thinking about some of the big issues we will be dealing with here on this, or some of the big issues we'll be dealing with on this show. And one of them is the word work itself, because I think people struggle with what their work should be, what is their life's calling, how much should they get out of work versus the rest of your life. So I was thinking maybe work is a word we need to redefine. Maybe try to make that more workable for people.
More workable. Ba-boom, boom. Nice.
So when you think about what your work means to you, how would you define the role of work in your life? Obviously, you're an artist, so how would you define that?
Well, I am one of the truly lucky people on the planet that I get to do for my work. My vocation is the same as my avocation. However you want to define that. Like, I get to do what I've loved the most in my life, and I get to get paid for it. So it's not really work, although there are. I think that the best kind of work is a service to other people. So the best kind of work, and I think almost any kind of job that you do can help make the world a better place.
I think that's true.
Sorry, my computer is dinging in the background. I hope that is.
That's just life. We're fine.
So, I think that, I don't know how to redefine work, but I do know that when you view your work as service to others, to humanity, to your family, that it's very special. In that way, and it can be far more fulfilling and can fill you with a lot more energy, as opposed to I am working to pay the bills, which is certainly important, and I spent years of my life doing that, just having to work to pay the bills, or having to work for status and just for money, just like, so if I work this, then I can get a big house and I can have a nice marriage and have a certain status and comfort level in my life. If you're working
Right.
for status and comfort, that's probably not going to end up being very fulfilling, and your work is just something you have to suffer through. And I guess that's the main thing to look at is like, how can work be something that you don't just suffer through, like our parents maybe did or our grandparents maybe did, but can work be viewed as service? Even if you're providing for your family, that's a great service.
Yeah, I kind of was thinking when I was thinking about this for myself, I wrote down the word contribution. That either like have a job where you feel like you're making a contribution, putting positive things into the world, or at least it's helping give you the resources that then you can turn into whatever personal level of contribution you want to make to positive things in the world. So it doesn't have to be directly doing good, but if it enables you to care for your family, contribute to your community, that whole idea of contribution is where I landed on this one.
No, that's really well said. I think that's true because I do think that we are always going to need garbage men and plumbers and people doing work that isn't all like being actors or podcasters. But looking at it in a broader context of like why you're doing it, what we're doing it for, the contribution we're making, I think that's brilliant. Absolutely.
But you said that you're lucky that your vocation is your avocation, and I get that because being an artist, you're allowed to explore that in a lot of ways. But then when you start your own company, when you have something like SoulPancake or other productions that you do, there has to be Rainn the artist versus Rainn the boss at some point. Or how do you manage that? Are you a good manager? Are you good with the business stuff?
Yeah, this is the funny thing is I really am pretty good at business actually, and I get pretty jazzed by it, and I like producing, and I like working with brands and developing concepts and hiring people and looking at budgets and deadlines and stuff like that, and I do enjoy it. And then I get a few weeks into it, and I kind of go, oh wait, I could spend the rest of my life doing this. Although I do enjoy it and I'm okay at it, I really started this to be an artist, and I like to transform into characters and tell stories and make people laugh and be a part of the kind of myth-making, story-making process. So I have to remind myself every once in a while if I get sucked in too deep into the producing aspects and just pull back and just try and be an artist. And that's why I'm doing this play here in Chicago right now, where I just wanted to take a few months and just go back to my roots in the theater and just tell a fantastic story in front of a group of people. It's an ancient human rite, R-I-T-E, right, of storytelling in a dark cave, people pretending to be people, and making them laugh with lights. It used to be kind of flickering torches on cave walls, and now it's theater lighting and paying way too much for a theater ticket. But that's one of the reasons I came out here.
That's great that you can have both in your life.
Like I said, I'm the most privileged guy in the world, and I completely recognize that.
Okay, so here we are. Matt and I are new on this job, advice givers here on Safe for Work. So if you don't mind, I wanted to get your advice for how we could get better at our jobs of helping people deal with the people at work better. Because a lot of what we do, I think a lot of the satisfaction at work, it's more of an EQ thing than an IQ thing, being able to get along with people, understand, and listen. So I'm going to give you an example of a letter we got, and you tell me what advice you would give this person.
Okay, good.
Okay, here we go. I have the world's most annoying coworker. He is a power-hungry suck-up who inserts himself into everything going on around the office. He is a rule follower to the extreme, and he is...
Let me just stop you right there for a second. Did Jim Halpert write this letter?
Yes, obviously I am describing Dwight Schrute.
Yes.
And... So, okay, Rainn Wilson, if Dwight Schrute was at the desk next to you, where do you begin to deal with someone like that in the workplace? It happens.
Oh my God, it totally happens. It's one of the reasons The Office was so successful. It's relatable. Everyone has had a boss, like Michael Scott, I
Yep.
once worked at the Multiple Sclerosis Society doing special events fundraising, and I had a boss lean in way too close to me, look me in the eye, and say, Rainn, I need someone in this job who, when I say jump, says, how high?
Oh
And
God.
and he said it without any irony at all, just like, and I was thinking, I was only like 23 at the time. I was thinking, like, does this guy know he's a walking cliche? But he had no idea, just completely clueless. Um,
Right.
I was not the guy for him because I'm not a how high can I jump kind of person. But
Yeah, he had seen that in a movie or a TV show or something and thought,
exactly,
yeah, that's going
exactly.
to be my style of leadership.
How do you deal with Dwight Schrute in the workplace? Boy,
Yeah, the toxic coworker. I think it's one of the most common questions we get. Is like, oh my God, toxic coworker. I just don't even know how to deal. So, do you engage? Do you ignore? Do you taunt? I don't know. People really. I'm not sure there's one right answer. I'm just wondering. You seem like a nice person. What would a
eh,
nice person do in this situation?
I'm a fairly nice person, but I have no idea how to answer that question. I don't really know. And I was out of the workplace by the time I was in my 30s. But I would say that there are toxic, annoying people in any situation that you go into. They're going to be at the gym, they're going to be at your church, they're going to be at family reunions. So it's more of a life philosophy of how you deal with people that trigger you and frustrate and upset you. So
Right.
it's
So, do you
preparation.
have a philosophy about
Preparation for
that?
this test is
Yeah.
a great human question because if it's not at work, it's going to be somewhere else. And at work, yes, you have to sit by them, or you have to work next to them, or be in the cubicle next to them, or the office next to them. So that is true. But I think you have to find a way. Perhaps it's looking at the good qualities that that person has. Because if you focus on the annoying qualities, you're going to drive yourself crazy every single day. So
Okay.
one positive kind of Oprah-esque way to deal with it might be to say, oh, well, this person does like the Seahawks, and this person does have a good sense of humor, or this person, they can be counted on to get the job done at the end of the day. So you focus on whatever good qualities they might have.
Okay. All right. I I think that's very, it's a wise long-term approach. it may or may not help you with the day-to-day, which is
Yeah,
often what drives people crazy.
it's the best I got.
Yeah. No, I like it. I like it. It's good. I was talking to a guy one time about on the issue of civility and just how people can be more civil. And I said, well, what's your definition of civility? And he said, well, civility is a combination of being calm, strong, and kind. And I thought, okay, that should be leadership too. That should be work. Like if on any given day at work, I figure if I can be one of those, great. If I can be two of those, I'm winning.
Yeah.
and maybe three of those is when those days when you go home from work, you think, okay, that was really super satisfying. So that's sort of my go-to
Calm,
short
strong, and
list.
kind. That's fantastic. Yeah. I'm lucky if I hit one or two of those in a day for a couple of hours. So
Yeah, I think that's true of most. It's certainly true of me, but it's a good goal
the
for
other
me.
option for an annoying coworker might be putting their stapler in Jello or any number of other annoying pranks just to keep you sane. So that's
Are
that's
you
another.
actual?
Maybe you can have on your podcast. You can have a workplace pranks edition
I like it.
with fun pranks people have done to keep themselves sane.
Are you a prankster?
I'm not. I'm not. But I sure got to participate in some good ones on The Office.
Oh, really? Was that the way that people rolled there?
No, I mean fictionally
Oh,
in The Office
fictionally.
have
Oh,
done the
yes, of
Mifflin.
course.
Yeah, but
Yes.
yeah, at the actual office, not so much.
Yeah. The do people can you ever think of like a truly terrible piece of advice you've ever either gotten or given? Because I think we have a whole red flags section here about ooh, when someone tells you to do this, just be very, very afraid. So how about that?
Boy, nothing's coming to mind right now. A piece of terrible advice. No, I'm sorry. I got nothing.
No, it's okay. Okay. So what is next on your to-do list work-wise? Is there anything that you really have never done that you want to try for the first time?
Yeah, I wrote a movie and I'm sending it out to some producers and stuff right now because I would really like to direct it. And I've never directed a movie before. So I'm really
Wow.
excited about that. It's something I wrote. It's a dark comedy about an alcoholic former ninja living in the San Fernando Valley. And it's called Bonsai
Okay.
Shadow Hands. I don't know if we'll get the funding. It's kind of a tough time for movies these days, unless they're big blockbusters. So, but I'm really excited to try and do that. My wife and I we started and help run a nonprofit in Haiti called Lide that does girls' education. And that's another really challenging thing is kind of running a nonprofit, fundraising raising and grants writing and working with the board and, developing a fundraising base and the marketing and not to mention the programs themselves and developing them and systematizing them. So that's something I've been doing more and more of over the years.
That sounds like it must be super satisfying for you.
It is, we're working with hundreds of girls in Haiti right now, and we're making their lives better, and we're helping them get educations. So that's pretty friggin' awesome.
That's great. All right. Well, I just want to close on this note. I also read that you wrote, "The harder you work, the luckier you get." And it sounds like what my mother used to say. She always said, "You make your own good luck." It's sort of a variation on that.
Yeah, I think
So,
I won't take credit for that quote. I think it's
mhm.
something like it that I heard. But I love that phrase, the harder you work, the luckier you get. People are like, how did you break into show business or how did you get on The Office or, and people come to LA looking for shortcuts. They want to move to LA not having studied acting and they want to get cast on a TV show and be a millionaire. Um, and
And that's not appropriate. That's too much to ask.
it's a little too much to ask. Yeah, it's going to take a little, more work. But I do think that doors open when you exert yourself and you put yourself out and you try things and you experiment and you fail and you get better and you learn and you try and stay humble and you study with masters in the whatever field you're working in. And by exerting yourself in this way, doors open, and then finally there may be that one kind of lucky job that lands in your lap, one door that opens up that leads your life in an entirely new and better direction.
Well, that is a fantastic last piece of advice to leave with people. So thank you so much for calling in today. We really appreciate it, Rainn.
Hey, thanks for having me on your show. Good luck with it. I can't wait to hear all the episodes.
Okay, good luck with your play.
Okay, awesome.
Okay,
Take care.
thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So there you have it. We're so excited for this season of Safe for Work, and we can't wait to share all the exciting interviews we have lined up for you to listen to. In case you missed anything from this episode, just tap the cover art to check out the notes for today's show. You'll also find our email address, safe@wondery.com, and some great offers from our sponsors, Plated, ZipRecruiter, Squarespace, and Brooklinen. Our original theme song is composed by Martin Blanco. Audio engineering by Misha Stanton. Produced by Cameron Cal. Executive produced by Eileen King and Marshall Louis. Created and executive produced by Hernan Lopez for Wondery. Remember, workplaces can feel crazy.
But you don't have to.